So hi, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So everyone, today we have Jake. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Jake, project lead on Icarus at RocketWerkz, and yeah, this is my open world.
Nice. So today we're going to be doing just a quick AMA and play with. So we're going to go in, I guess we can go back to your base and we can check it out first.
Yeah, sure. It's just a small house.
I got you.
Right. Yeah,
It gets the job done, right?
yeah, exactly. It basically started off as a fishing shack.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then we've slowly expanded it as we've needed to.
What's your biggest catch so far?
We threw them away. I'm trying to, because we used this place as a testing ground.
Yeah.
We had all of the variables off, so we had really big ones at one point. And I threw them away because I was like, I can't have them on live. That's cheating.
So the first question that we had is, when will we get circuit switches, breakers, batteries, all that good stuff for electricity?
Shortly. Well, no, not shortly. I'm really keen on it, and we've got a battery kind of all ready to go. But we do need to go through and adjust the electricity and network system in general.
Gotcha.
So we're planning on getting some smaller bits out, at least for debugging, or figuring out what's connected and what's not connected. So I really want to get in a terminal and debugging information for players, so you can actually see what's drawing what machines are on, and even altering the order in which machines turn off if there's not enough power.
Have you ever played Satisfactory?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of maybe a switch to turn stuff on and off?
Yes.
So people can turn off. Say, for example, I've had a lot of people come to me and they were like, hey, it'd be awesome if we can turn off stuff that we're not using. That way it's not sucking up power on the grid. So
switches and batteries will probably be the first things to come out, as well as a way to actually visualize and see what's drawing what power at an overall level, rather than having to go to every machine and going, oh, that one's on, kind of thing. I want to do something with the wires. I hate the wires at the moment. Yeah.
That was another question down the road. I'll ask it a little bit, but I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead and ask you though. It was a suggestion, I think, is what it was. Somebody had suggested it, not necessarily a question, but they were saying maybe an option in the settings to toggle on and off wires, being able to see wires and whatnot, unless you have the tool out.
Yeah, no, completely feasible and completely within our realm to do. So yeah, no, I've written that down already to bring to the team.
So the next question that I'm gonna say a lot of people asked this one. It was one of the top questions. So let's talk vehicles if you can. What vehicles are we going to be looking forward to in the game? And will there be any kind of flying aircraft eventually in Icarus?
Okay, I'll address both questions independently.
Okay, gotcha.
So with vehicles, we have slightly moved away from them in favor of mounts. This is for a number of reasons. One being, we did have some vehicles in game early on, and we were going for the whole snow runner, mud runner experience, if you've ever played any of those games, which is slow, deliberate moving of resources over a long period. But the maps, the Olympus and Styx maps, were not really designed for vehicles, and you ended up having way too many. You'd end up hitting rocks all the time, and you get stuck way too easily. So if we were to do vehicles, and I'm not saying we're not, it's just it does require a new map, and it requires us to rebuild the vehicle system from scratch.
Gotcha.
It's just not good at the moment.
That kind of makes sense, because there's a lot of areas that would be pretty hard to get vehicles, maybe even a 4x4 or ATV or something to buy. And I understand that. There is a lot of areas that would be kind of difficult. Maybe in the desert it would be different, but yeah. Yeah,
the desert and the Arctic kind of
I get that.
They would be better, but they still have a little rocks and stuff underground which throw you off.
Yeah. And collision with physics and whatnot.
Yeah, we did try we did try a very fast-moving rover at one point, and let's just say that just got flung up into orbit way too often.
Oh gosh!
We've got it on the roadmap to readdress mounts and have a look at increasing their speed, giving each mount their own skill tree and level system, as well as introducing some more mounts, which we might even have some more coming very shortly. In terms of flying machines, we won't do it with a machine per se, but we've got some stuff in testing at the moment, which looks pretty promising for aerial traversal, I'll say.
So the next one, and this one is one that I was going to personally ask as well, but it was also asked by several other people. Different building pieces. So are there any plans for new building shapes or pieces like triangular or circular building pieces? Or are you going to be able to allow maybe different angles to snap to for making more round structures and stuff in Icarus?
So, like we'd love to do that, and it is something we are investigating. It's just our building system is very much built on a grid. So when you place a building down, we align everything to that grid. And a while ago, we enabled a free build mode, which allows you to not place things on a grid anymore after, you know, it just disables snapping. So people can get more complex shapes. But we do understand that, like, you know, people want arches, people want like round buildings and stuff. So that stuff is completely not off the table. It's just we're not working actively on it right at this point in time.
Do you have a fishing rod? Yeah, good fish.
Do you want a spare one? Yeah, come over here. There's some in the fishing
fish
bench.
while we talk.
Oh yeah, have a look at my fish. There you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is that a discus? Looks like a discus. Yep.
It is a discus. You're right. Yeah, there's a couple of spare rods on the bench.
Okay, I'll grab one. So, Unreal 5. Let's talk about
Unreal
that.
5.
Are we ever going to be in Unreal 5 in Icarus?
Maybe.
Maybe.
So, during development, we upgraded from like the Unreal 4 versions as they came out, just because they had extra stuff in it, extra features, bug fixes, and all that kind of jazz. Taking the step from 4 to 5 is a much, much bigger leap, and it does mean if we were to do it properly, it would take honestly about 4 months of dev time. Yeah, because we've built a lot of custom tools in Unreal 4, like our whole proper data table system and like our trait system for items and stuff like that, which designers rely upon. So if we were to make the thing, it would be there would have to be definite benefits. And there are some in Unreal 5 at the moment. It's just they're not enough for us to commit. You may have seen some Unreal 5 games come out recently. They're still like some of even the big name ones are still suffering from frame rate issues and stutters without even being on open world, like without even rendering it as much as we do in Icarus. So I'm going to consider it a bit more when Unreal 5 is a bit more stable in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, in the future.
Definitely. Seems like a lot of games are going to Unreal 5 nowadays, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of games have like started development in Unreal 5, and Icarus is already 3 years along. So it's a bit of a change for us to, do all that.
I understand that. It would take a lot of converting, wouldn't it? I don't know much about creating video games themselves, but I would say it would take a long time to switch everything over, right? Just months.
The content would be relatively fine. It's just the custom things we've done in engine to allow us to have a big open world and be able to interact the way we do.
Gotcha. So this is one. Me personally, I feel like there's a lot of benches in the game, and this has been asked several times, and I've been asked this exactly this way. Why is there so many benches in this game?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of benches. The idea was early on, and I think it got lost a little bit along the way with some of the design that took place, that you'd build stuff in Tier 2, and that would have a Tier 3 equivalent, which would craft the Tier 2 stuff faster and more efficiently, and allow for more things, and then Tier 4 would do the same. And we've ended up with a few benches that are quite niche, and you end up needing them for, you need a Tier 2 bench while you're at the Tier 4 level of tech.
Yeah.
it is something we do want to fix, because we do appreciate that people don't like thousands of benches in their base. But some of them are made for very specific things, and it's hard to just jam things on. We're really conscious of like loading up a bench with too many recipes, if that makes sense. Because it makes it a bit more difficult for people to find what they need to find. If that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of balance there, but we are like, we've actually got someone making a list of what can go on what other benches and what makes sense and stuff at the moment, so we can like address the tearing issue a bit more. Now,
this was a very specific question that somebody had asked me to ask you guys, and I had to.
No worries.
They were saying they don't believe that a lot of the items and tools and deployables that we have in the game are balanced, and they were wanting to know if we were going to do it are you guys looking to make any kind of changes or tweaks to items and tools and deployables in the game to kind of make them more worth it? For example, the lower tier pistols and crossbows. And
100%, we're planning on doing a big tool and balance revamp as part of one of our larger patches coming up. Unfortunately, we need to do the thing we're doing right now and get it out before we can address that, because there are some things that are going to change in the next larger update.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we are planning to. I am really passionate about pistols. Some people aren't. I love them. And I really want to give them a big damage buff and make them a lot more worthwhile.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like the single shot pistol. It's not as far as the bolties aren't too bad. But when we get into our open worlds, it seems more like we get to the point of rifles quite fast. So we kind of never make pistols and all that because we always have rifles. You know, I don't know what would fix the issue with that. Maybe making them a little cheaper, possibly. But that's more of a suggestion than anything. But
yeah, there's a couple of ways we can approach it, like even bringing pistols down a tier kind of thing and reducing their recipes cost and stuff like that. But you've got to be careful because, you know, a lot of people playing open world at the moment, and, you know, they're all teched up, and then it basically comes to weapon of choice at that point rather than like, and a lot of people go either take the Lightwell Martinez bow, which I hate, by the way.
You hate it?
Down. Well, it does way too much crit damage.
It's pretty good. It's not even pretty good.
Yeah, I like the pistol, but I think it needs a... Well, no, I can't say much. There's something cool coming with a pistol in the next big patch. Well,
okay.
Or another pistol, or a revolver, or something like that.
Looking forward to that. Somebody asked if sleeping will ever advance furnace progress, like furnaces. So, you know how we advance time, it just basically changes the time of day? Is there any plans to make that do something different, or just keep it the way it is? Like, for example, if you go to bed with maybe a full furnace, maybe it'll be smelted down a little bit more.
It is something we've talked about quite a bit, and it's the same with weather. Like, if you go to bed, should it skip the weather event?
That's true as well, yeah. It stays the same.
At the moment, we're not going to do that, and there's a few reasons why that is a couple of the designers have made, but there's also a slight technical limitation of skipping forward time that much. It is a lot more plausible now that we've actually dealt with the when we did the weather revamp last year into the forecast system. It's a lot more plausible to actually skip forward on that now. So it's not off the table, but it is something we do need to bring up and talk about again.
So, the DLC coming soon. What can we expect, if you can give any information? And do you have any new planets planned, or areas or planets that we can explore or go to?
I'm just trying to think of what we've said publicly.
Yeah, I understand that you have to kind of keep a little bit of... you can't give us all the information. Spoilers.
I think it's like quite... I think it's quite known that we're giving you a new map with some new biomes. And with new biomes will come new creatures. And with new biomes, there's new resources. So there might be new things you can craft.
Nice.
and that's about as much as I'll say there. We are like leaning into the lore a bit as well. So you'll get a little bit of a nice story to go along with the new area as well.
Gotcha.
Delve into the Icarus of the lore of Icarus a bit more.
That was a question we were going to ask about lore and when we were going to get a little bit more lore and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and skip that. It's in the DLCs.
Yeah, we've kind of hinted at a bunch of things recently in the bestiary. Like some of the bestiary entries mention specific groups or hunters or ongoing things. And even like if you ever look at the Prospect Field Guide, Prospect Field Guide is powered by a certain AI, and he might be coming back, and even the drop pods. If the dynamic drop ships, sometimes they play some interesting noises, so just listen out for them as well.
Yes. So RocketWerkz, I know y'all are kind of a new studio, right?
RocketWerkz has been around for quite a while. It's just they started off with some. They started off down in Dunedin, which is the lower half of New Zealand, with some smaller like indie type projects, and those projects have expanded. Gotcha. So if you look at Stationeers, which is one of our other products, that was one of their initial products that was put out, and that's still going strong and getting more following and more players, and they're planning expansions and stuff like that now for them. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We've got a couple of unreleased things that might be coming out. Obviously, we've got the continued develop of Icarus, and we've got R&D working on some special stuff as well.
Any new plans on a new survival game or another one?
I don't know. I think we would all love to make another one, but I think we're mainly focused on Icarus at the moment in terms of survival. Never say never, but yeah.
So how do you feel about the current blueprints in the game as far as how they relate and their levels, where they're at? Are you expecting any new tiers to be coming soon, or any future skill progression as far as the trees go?
I want to do a bit of a revamp, honestly. And it's something we've been talking about internally with the designers for a while. All the building pieces, I think we can collapse that down into one node, like a building, like a wood tier kind of thing. And there's a lot of things we want to shift around, because if you ever look at what we've done with the crafting, the fishing bench, where we've got the fishing bench and we've got everything you can craft on the fishing bench attached to it, right? Mm-hmm. And then we've just level locked the higher tier things that you need to be of a higher tier to do. There's that strategy, which is quite cool. And then there's the other strategy, which is if something is crafted, if you don't have the materials until tier 3, the item should be put at tier 3. And should it be attached to the bench? Should it not be attached to the bench? We need to do a bit of cleanup there to make things make sense a bit more. So ideally, there's, like I said, there's two schools of thought. Everything should be attached to the bench that it's crafted at, regardless of what tier it's in, or should the items be in specific tier. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's something we're discussing internally. Either way, we're going to pick a strategy and we're going to clean all that up.
Now, as far as blueprints go, I believe that, I mean, they're pretty balanced. They could use a little places here and there, maybe moving this here, maybe moving this there. Talents is where I'm kind of concerned, honestly. I don't know. Even with the current change that y'all did, as far as talents goes, how do you feel about talents? Let me just ask that first. There's things we want to change there too. Okay. One of the things we've been discussing is possibly, how we've separated down to four like sections now. Yeah,
survival, adventure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are possibly thinking, and don't quote me on this because we haven't run it through everyone yet.
Oh yeah, I understand.
But possibly allowing people to have a set number of points per tab. So you'd get like 30 points with survival, 30 in adventure, 30 in habitation.
That's
so
awesome,
it allows people to, it gives you a bit more to play around with. It means you don't have to be committed to any one tree, and it gives players a bit more options in what they want to do, kind of thing. Better builds, I think.
I really appreciate the extra talent points too, and that I've got a heck of a build now because of that. I'm absolutely loving it. And that was something else that a lot of people had suggested, but of course we're not going to bring it up because you've already fixed that issue. There was a few things in here that we had questions in it, and they've already been addressed, so just not going to even mention them. Somebody asked me about releasing character files so that people can mod those. Does that ring a bell with you any at all? Or, like, I don't know if they were... The way they kind of asked the question, I think, was, will you ever release character files so people can modify and maybe what characters look like?
Yeah, it sounds like they're talking about releasing the actual models of the characters. I don't know. I'd have to talk with Dean and stuff about that. I know we are like, you can, like, modders can already access quite a bit of things.
A lot.
And we're deliberately doing that. We want players to, if RocketWerkz ever goes down, we want players to be able to play Icarus forever and mod it to their heart's content. It's something I can talk about and figure out about getting that data to place.
This one's one of mine, for sure.
Yep.
It is the markers. I hate beacons. I absolutely hate beacons. I hate beacons. I hate how much they cost. I hate that we have to place them where we want to mark things. And there's so much I really want to mark in this game. Like, there's like, for example, deep vein ores and whatnot. I forget where I place them, to be honest with you. I have to either, one, chase the wires back with a wire tool, or two, I have to actually place a beacon, so I can see it on the map whenever it's daylight.
Yeah.
Or there's a few ways that I could go back to it, but it's so difficult. I really just wish that we could place markers on the map. Is there any plans of reworking that whatsoever, or are we stuck with the beacons?
No, there are. It is quite a common complaint, and it is something we do want to address soon. We were discussing possibly giving the ability to place stamps on the map, kind of thing.
Yes,
we've got to be careful because we just want to, like, Icarus was built initially as quite a kind of, I want to say, hard and realistic game in terms of, like, tracking and navigating and stuff. It's actually for a while there we didn't have a map. A map did not exist. But yeah, so I think if we were to change it, which we are talking about, we might go for a kind of stamping system where you can click and put a symbol down and maybe name it or something like that as well.
That'd be nice. Even if we just had some symbols, like maybe a deep vein, or I don't know, maybe like an electric drilling, the icon for it or something like that. But when it comes to the markers, were just, I've made a lot of beacons before, and once you get to composites, it's not too hard to make composites, but you have to go to composites.
Yeah.
So that was probably just more of, I know a lot of people have actually said that as well, but that was probably one of my number one questions, is if we were going to have some kind of change. And I also had a suggestion for you, if you're willing.
Yeah, go for it.
How about something that we can drop down with, maybe a workshop gear item that will allow us to place something on the map? I don't know, maybe like a radar or a scanner of some sort or something. And I need food, actually.
Oh yeah, there's some in the campfire. Go nuts.
Yeah, now I'm not going to starve to death. Miss Streamer had a suggestion for an animal.
Oh yeah?
Or a mount, even. I don't even know if you could even... I don't think you probably could, but... Flamingos in the desert. Any thoughts of ever doing that?
Flamingos, huh?
Flamingos.
How close... I'm wondering if we could... Let me just get an image up real quick. I
The little
think.
pink things, with the really long
Yeah.
legs, and they're kind of common around here, but
I mean, if we could take the, if we got a model, I think we could match it to the mower rig
there you go.
quite easily.
But she was like,
I don't know,
we
we gotta-
love flamingos.
Got to be careful about that, man. I mean, riding a giant pink flamingo in Icarus, is that jumping
Oh,
the shark
that
a
would-
little bit?
I don't know. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Well, as long as we're giving you content, then that's fine, right? I think if we were to do them, we've got a better biome for them to put in.
Gotcha. Like maybe a
Which
swamp, probably.
Yeah, maybe a swamp or something like that. Yeah.
So, mini maps. Are we ever going to get a mini map in Icarus, or are we going to be using the compass?
I don't know. I think we're pretty happy with the compass at the moment, but we haven't actually talked about mini maps at all. Yeah, it's something I can bring up with the team. I think we'll just be a bit careful because, like, we've got a lot of UI on, like HUD UI anyway at the moment.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
we don't want to make that too busy. If we did add them, I think it would be a setting. It would be an optional thing that you could turn on and off. Actually, if we did do them, it might be cool to bind them to a module or something that you slot in your suit.
That'd be
Give you
nice.
like a little upgrade.
Future weapons. This is one that I was quite interested and was asked quite a few times as well. Future weapons such as grenade launchers or rockets, maybe high-end weapons or assault rifles, whatnot. Any plans for that, Icarus?
All I'll say is we're investigating some high-end weapons at the moment.
And aliens, NPCs?
NPCs.
Question mark?
Do you want dialogue trees and like full-on quests?
Sure. That would be awesome. even if it was just maybe an NPC. I've always said, and I've said this a lot in my streams before, I said it would be so cool that if I was to come up and find a base of a long dead prospector, right, that maybe had some valuable loot or something to actually discover, and it was just kind of random generated, you just find it on that prospect. I always thought something like that would be pretty cool as far as an NPC goes. Maybe not like a full-on NPC that gives you quests and make it like an MMO.
We'll give you lots of escort quests. That's what we'll do.
Oh,
If you
God.
don't understand.
Oh, no, please. Please, no.
So the tech we made for the Lost dynamic mission,
That was
to
awesome.
allow us to create pre-built structures in the world, that actually came out of what you were talking about. And now that we have that tech, that is completely viable for us to do. So we plan on leveraging that a bit more in future. Because we always saw that the first stage of Icarus was everyone is on an unexplored planet, so you don't encounter any like leftover prospector stuff.
Gotcha.
But now we're at a stage that, Olympus and Styx have been explored. We're moving on to the next phase of the UDA cycle, and it's not going to be uncommon for you to find abandoned old structures and that kind of thing.
That's so cool. I can't wait for that. If that is going to be a future content, I cannot wait for that, because I always thought that would be awesome. I always thought it would be interesting, because adding that surprise element to the game, I think would add so much to the submersion and stuff like that. How immersed you are in the game. I think that would be so neat.
One of the initial plans actually was to, when people were finishing missions and stuff, we would actually save their structures, and then we would build that structure up and just ruin it a bit and place it on another person's mission when they spill them up. Unfortunately, the tech required for that at the time was a little insane, but now we've reached a way better point where we can do and build pre-built structures and stuff like that really easily.
So the next one is one that I personally hope doesn't go into the game, but PvP, yes, no, and why?
Right. Yeah. So I never want to say never, but but like Icarus was designed from the beginning never to be a PvP game. It's always been a team-focused survival or a solo player experience survival. We never like we've got you've got a little bit of PvP now. You can hurt your friends and stuff like that, but we don't want to promote that behavior. We'd rather it be players surviving in a harsh environment rather than players surviving in a harsh environment and fighting another group.
So never say never.
never say never, but it's definitely not the direction we're heading towards.
There's a lot of PvP games out there, honestly.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it personally, but I know a lot of people like PvP. I've come from PvP. I've played PvP a lot. We both have about 8,000 hours in Rust together.
Oh,
and
nice.
we that was PvP mostly.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I understand it, but I'm kind of over it. You know, I'm kind of over when it comes to my personal stance on PvP. That's just how I feel, but
yeah,
I wouldn't mind it. But yeah, you can shoot your friends. That's definitely something you can punch them too. Some boxing gloves, right? Put me some boxing gloves in. That would be.
I really want to get some gauntlets in the game.
That'd be
and
awesome.
we've got some concepts for them, but I've got to convince some of the other designers first. This week's going to be a bit smaller, because it's mainly just us going over and making fixes and for bugs that slipped into Galileo.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So next week we'll come out with some new stuff.
It's when y'all release the updates, it's in the middle of the night. It's at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Or if it's earlier, like sometimes you release them around maybe midnight to 1 to 2 around my time, and usually that's a pretty good time for me. But when it's out later, I'm up to like 9, 10 in the morning, and then I gotta try to work the next day. That's kind of rough, but I try to get it out as soon as I can so people can get the news as soon as they can. So people really like the update videos.
I like them. I like watching them. Because I push the patch out, and then I wake up on Saturday morning, unless there's an emergent, unless something's gone horribly wrong, and then I'll jump on YouTube and start watching all the update videos and see what we've done wrong, see what we've done right, see how people like it.
How big a team is Icarus, though? I'm kind of more curious. How many people are in RocketWerkz and that work on Icarus? I'm sorry.
So at the moment on Icarus, we've got 4 engineers, 4 software developers. We've got 3 designers, full-time designers. And then we've got 4 concept artists, and then an art team of about 5 or 6. And then, that's not excluding, obviously, we've got the marketing team and HR and all of the other bits and pieces. And, there's myself. And then, so we've got, like, a decent amount. We've slimmed down a bit since launch, just because, we needed a whole lot of stuff for launch. And some of the requirements have dropped a little bit. So we've changed the teams up a little bit. So, yeah. I think we've got a good-sized team at the moment to continue doing what we're working on at the moment with the DLCs and these larger patches, and I feel like we've got into a good cadence for getting content and fixes and everything else.
And weekly, that's crazy. Yeah. Some people really come up to me and they praise you guys constantly because of, and I do too. I mean, and also just to let you guys know, if I ever say anything bad about the game, it's only because I care.
No, that's fine.
It's only because I care.
we actually appreciate you and a lot of other people for being critical and letting us know that things are wrong or things don't feel right. And we take a lot of that on board. Obviously, it goes through our whole filtering process and stuff like that. But we do make changes based on player feedback.
DLCs. So, do you plan on doing any more DLCs other than the 2 that you have planned already? Are we looking that far into the future?
Very focused on the first DLC at the moment, and we've got some We've got some plans for the second DLC, and our goal is to first get this first one out and then start looking at the second.
Gotcha.
We might put out some more smaller ones just to support us or something like that, but we're mainly focused on the big map and gameplay one coming up at the moment. I can't say either way. I mean, if Icarus explodes, you know, we'll keep putting out DLC for years.
That sounds amazing. I'd love to see our 8th DLC.
You'll definitely have to have flying cars or something by that.
Yeah, we'll have to be. We're not dropping down as cavemen anymore.
No. Exosuits and gliders and
Mechs.
jetpacks. Yeah, exactly. Build your own mech system. That would be the dream. If we get up to a build your own mech system, then I know that, you know, we've succeeded.
Maybe like 6,000 composites. I'd do it though. I swear I would. To have a mech, yeah, of course. 6,000. That's easy.
Yeah, easy.
Especially with
veins, right?
the way you can respawn ores now and all that. That's so nice. I'm on my open world, my big one that I do all the updates on. That one, oh my gosh, I am so stuck there now because of the open world, because of the way you can respawn the ores with a Thumper, and I've got all kinds of electronic deep vein ores around that are being tapped. You know, just various resources and whatnot.
There should be in the coming weeks. I don't want to put an actual timeline on it, but hopefully we'll have the equivalent of the Thumper for the trees and vegetation soon.
So what will that cover? Just trees, like just veggies and stuff that you can pick up on the ground, wheat, whatnot?
Yeah, trees, plants, basically trees, yeast bushes, watermelon, all that kind of stuff.
Rocks?
Maybe not rocks.
Of course, there's a lot of rocks in Icarus. Like, if you ever really honestly have a problem getting rocks in Icarus, I don't know what you're building, but you need to stop. Because we've built giant castles before and had piles of rocks right next to it, and that was just an island. So, I mean,
I think if you run out of rocks, maybe it's time to start a new open world.
Yeah, maybe. This was one that I've asked in a few other people, not many other people, but a few. Now, we run some dedicated servers. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but we run dedicated servers that we have for our channel and whatnot. And a lot of people have asked for like personal building or ownership of buildings. Like if you place it, then you own that building and only you can modify that building or tear it down. Do you have any plans of that, or is the dedicated servers just still kind of in early stages?
We don't have any plans for that at the moment. We have discussed it internally because it's the same logic as like people wanting locks on their crates and stuff like that, right? Yeah. We've got to be careful there because like as soon as we start doing that, it starts promoting PvP a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, we want to make the right decision in terms of that. If it keeps getting requested, we'll consider it again. But at the moment, it's kind of like a no for that kind of stuff.
Ooh, this one is for sure something I'm interested in. The space station. Can we talk about it?
Sure.
What will it be like, and what can you do on it?
That's a good question. We actually have a space station, or had a space station, where you could, float around, and I don't know if you remember in the beta.
Oh yeah, I've seen the videos.
Yeah. The reason we would bring back the space station now is if there would be a good reason for it in game. If we added some mechanics that you could only do up there, such as like a dropship editor or something like that. At Icarus's current point right now, there's no reason for it. So if we keep working as we're working, and then it becomes more relevant, we will add the space station in.
Do you want to move somewhere else?
Sure, yeah.
Got my favorite bow here.
Nice. Alrighty.
Wherever you want to go. I will follow you.
Yeah, no, we'll head over to Marco. Yeah, well, I just have to remember not to jump off cliffs.
Yeah, I don't have kickballs on. That is where you can't take fall damage. Was that intended?
You completely can't take fall damage No, I don't think it was in Kansas.
Where you
I
could
know that
go
you
and
can-
do the 3 kickball modules, and then I think it was 3.
Oh, right.
And then
Stacking it.
stacking it all up to 100%, where it reduces fall damage by 100%, and you can't actually die from fall. You don't even take damage from falling. And you can jump off anything. You can go to height map to the base at the bottom and fall.
Oh, good. I'll fix that this patch then. Thank you for that.
I always thought it was kind of odd that you could literally never take fall damage. So
I do kind of like that people do invest in stacking and stuff like that for stats to get like specialized or overpowered in some way. But we have to be a bit careful with it so people don't. You don't want to make it a oh shit. Who's dead?
Oh no. He did.
I brought an axe, so that'll be my melee weapon.
I got my trusty knife, one of my favorites. Is it Inaris or Inaris? How do you pronounce it? Just out of curiosity.
It's a good question. We say Inaris.
Inaris.
I'd have to I'd have to get in contact with the original writer of the fashion to see exactly how to say it. But we'll leave it to the interpretation until we actually get a voice actor to actually say the word.
Tomato, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to remember where I put all the fish zones.
Are they in caves?
Yeah, well, in this latest update, we've got the one coming out this week. The caves should be all dealt with. I'm actually, I've been talking with a few people, and we might get some cave-specific fish in future, and give caves their own little biomes and little environment for this cave-specific fish. Sweet. Just wanted to get that achievement.
I hate them.
You hate the achievement?
I hate them so much. I don't hate them. I hate their debuff or the tick. I hate the tick.
Yeah, the tick.
We've always called them. Well, we've always called them soulfish is what we call them.
Oh right, yeah.
Just because they're. It's not like they do a lot of damage, or even that their poison does a lot of damage, but
it's enough to annoy you. But
it's
not
just
really
enough to
you.
annoy you. That's why we call them soulfish, because all they want to do is annoy you. So here's another question: what's your favorite survival game other than Icarus, or do you have one?
Survival game other than Icarus. The game I've spent the most time in would probably be Conan Exiles.
Ooh, that's a good game.
I really like the mechanics of that. And 7 Days to Die is another one of my favorites.
That's another good game. I've played a lot of 7 Days to Die. Now, of Conan, I've gone all the way up to temples, I think, and did the temples and whatnot. But I don't think I've done. I haven't done any of the new content, and I haven't done any of the. It's been a while since I went back to it. It's been forever since I've seen this island this way. This is where my update base is. This is the one that has the bridge that goes across to that island over there. The island of Solitude. Yes, I'm very familiar with this area.
Nice spot.
It's a very nice spot. I absolutely love it here. I was thinking about doing a video on like some of the best places to build your base in Icarus. And this was going to be on the list if I actually do that.
When is the where to catch all 52 Icarus fish at 100% quality video?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done enough research on that, to be honest, because I haven't went to all the lakes and stuff yet, and used the fish. I got the fish finder on one save, for sure.
This is a higher quality zone here. It looks like, which is nice.
Yeah, this is not bad. I fished here. I got the little dock out there and everything. I'd show you it, but you'd have to run all the way from the starting, which is clear in the freaking forest down at, let's see. Pretty sure the starting of mine is like M11 around that area, something like that. down that area.
Oh, right.
And then you'd have to run to here. So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually something that came up yesterday for people who deliberately build or end up building their base somewhere else away from the dropship locations, seeing if they can build like a landing beacon or something like that so new players can drop at a specific location.
Oh, that's a great idea. Really, that would be awesome to have, because I have the drop pod where I brought my drop pod back to where, well, it's just right up the hill there. That would be awesome, because it, I had people who actually wanted to come over and check it out, but then they got in and they're like, "Oh, that's far."
Yeah.
It's a map away, pretty much. So I think the final question that we had was, what is Icarus to you?
That is an extremely broad question.
I know it's an extremely broad question, but like...
Icarus to me is a survival game that I want to play with my friends. That is the goal, basically. A survival game that, we can get a group of friends together and we can go and play and do some missions and build a base and, fight some epic creatures kind of thing.
But it's also your work. You work for it as well, so...
Yeah, I know, which is awesome, because I get to do what I love, so...
And you know what they say about doing what you love? You never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
Even though you do.
I mean, right now I'm working, so...
Exactly. This is awesome. I guess technically I am too.
Yeah, easy.
So other than that, we had some suggestions. I put these in a different category because I didn't feel like they were actually questions, but more like just suggestions that people had over top of anything else. So one thing was, I had already mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. It's the setting to kind of hide wires and tubes and stuff like that. If you have your tool equipped, you can see them, but if you don't, then you don't see them, kind of deal. Some people believe that the wiring is just kind of cluttery, I think is one word, and somebody said a mess. But but I know you just said you'd mentioned earlier that you didn't like the wiring, so
yeah, not personally. I think there's some improvements we can do there, or even have like maybe move to like a point-to-point system instead of like the curves or something. But having a setting to hide them would... Oh, that's a big fish. Sorry, I got distracted.
I could catch 100% length here for sure. I've caught a few of them. I've caught a few of them actually. I know you probably... I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but how is it kind of zoned off? Is it like the whole entire water that's connected to it the same fish, or...
So we don't define what you catch per water bodies per se.
Okay.
It's like we do a heat map and then pick specific areas where you can catch fish.
Okay.
So we basically draw zones on the map and say, these fish are catchable here, these fish are catchable here, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. And then you just got to catch them all.
You got to catch them all.
So more drop-down slots. I know a lot of people mod this because it's all I ever hear is people talking about modding more drop-down slots and whatnot. But do you have any plans of adding more drop-down slots? And if no, why? I guess that's kind of a question.
Yeah. So the drop-down slots, we originally started with 10, I think, and then we upped it up to 15.
You did, yep.
It was a early balancing mechanism, so players didn't like fully come down crazy equipped with stuff. But that's slightly changed. People are spending longer time on prospects, and their gear is wearing out, and you have to repair it and stuff like that. So now there's more onus to, bring down repair kits and stuff. At this stage, we're not planning on adding more dropship slots. And that is because we are doing something else, which will be present in the next kind of like Galileo patch, which is called Hypatia.
Hypatia. I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask what is the next big thing we can look forward to. So Hypatia.
Yeah, Hypatia.
Well, I'm glad you told me that, so now I know how to actually pronounce it, because I'm horrible with that.
Don't worry. Let's just say I wrote down the patch name about 6 months ago, and it's taken me a while to remember how to say it correctly. And I've had to say it a lot.
Any plans on like headlamps or any way for us to like modify our maybe like using the alteration bench to put a headlamp on our helmet or anything like that, so we can use it with L. Or I think what people were kind of getting with that suggestion was more along the lines of they like the higher tier flashlights and whatnot, but they hate having them in the L slot. So because they move around way too much within the L slot.
So they're not liking the shadows and the lighting from that location.
Well, it's kind of more like whenever you have the flashlight on your belt on your L slot, when you're running, it runs and moves around like crazy and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
That's kind of more of, I guess, it's more of a complaint. I guess now more I think of it. Anything.
It's fine. We had the L slot came to be because before release we actually had a suit module that you could equip, and it would give you a headlamp. And I think that would be quite cool to bring back at some stage. The thing we just have to be careful with it is we don't want to make it like an unlimited power thing. But it's definitely something we can talk about.
And here's one that's my personal favorite. Are we ever going to be able to paint things in this game? Like walls, or maybe even be able to customize your, I don't know, maybe your knife or your bow, your pickaxe or something like that, be able to paint in a certain color? Or will we ever have paints? Or maybe even be able... I know you added the picture frames on the last DLC that y'all had released. And will we ever be able to paint in that either?
So the roadmap has a section called Cosmetics. Has a function, a title called Cosmetics. This may include some of the things you're talking about. Yeah. For that, we are, without going into too much detail, we understand that people want to paint and wallpaper and like customize their knives and bows and everything like that. And it is something that we also want to do.
I think it would be pretty cool. Like maybe even have you ever considered skins? Like for weapons and stuff. That might be something I'd be okay with instead of just painting. Like maybe painting your base might be pretty cool if you can paint it a certain color, maybe, or make it a darker color or lighter color or something like that. But I'd love skins. I think that'd be cool. It just gives it a bit more customization, and you can see that you've got a cool knife or something like that. It's real funny because I want to say 2 months into development, myself and one of the artists, who's now actually a designer artist, we created a knife and we created a skin for the knife straight away, and we put a little system in to create a skin. So there's an early, I don't know if it's still in the game files, but there's I think you've got the stone knife and then there's a jade stone knife skin for it somewhere. That's definitely something we're looking into expanding and setting up a proper system for the cosmetics patch, which is not the next one, will probably be the one after that if things don't change. In my ideal world, we would have basically every time you get an item or something, you would unlock that skin kind of thing, and then you would be able to go into a different menu and apply any skin from anything you've unlocked on anything. So you can make your sandworm bow look like a normal bow or a larkworm bow. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that's my perfect implementation of it. And then possibly have as a reward for missions or rewards for doing certain accolades or something, give you special unique skins you can only get that way. That's my perfect implementation of the system for skins.
That's a
it's Buffalo.
Who came up with the idea to kill the mom and then take the babies from the mounts?
That was one of the designers, one of the programmers. They were like, "Oh, this seems like the best way to,
Doesn't seem harsh at all."
We had a couple of different options. Like one thing we were looking at was possibly shooting a tranq dart and doing that, but that didn't have the same kind of story to it. I guess it just felt a bit cheap rather than having to go out hunt this thing, get rid of its parents, and then bring it back to base and kind of like turn it into your own.
When I heard that, like, oh my god, you gotta kill the mommy, and then you gotta orphan it first, and then I was like, I'm so in now.
We also saw that it made like better experiences. Like when we were testing it, like you'd go out and then you'd see one, and then like a baby mower, and then you'd have to like slowly try and take out the parent and bring the mower back, and then you'd get attacked on the way, and the baby would die under your protection. It was just a whole lot of things that made it way more worthwhile.
That ought to do it. Ah, there we go.
Oh, I've had fireplaces in a dangerous spot.
We almost had an accident, Jay.
Yeah. I just walked over with it without thinking, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, don't worry, I do it sometimes too. Even when thinking, or at least trying to. No matter how much I've played Icarus, I still sometimes just forget where the fire is, or it just happens. It's a right. And I love how I seen your achievements. Welcome to Icarus. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
With the bear,
Yeah.
Oh, that was absolutely. I love that. That was. I laughed out loud because I heard that. And it's a great day for fishing, ain't it?
Yeah.
Great day for fishing, ain't it? Have you seen Bellin's Route?
Yes, I have.
That's such a good film. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Yeah.
There's a tree.
Oh, no.
It's almost like it's storming out here or something. Oh, got my fish.
It almost landed on top of me.
Is the fishing bench immune to... Oh, it's immune to storm damage.
Yeah, we made it so you could specifically put it outside if you wanted.
Really? That'd be awesome. I'm going to put that on my dock then.
Yeah, I liked it outside because you could just do a bunch of fishing and then just go dump it straight in.
That's awesome. Yeah. When you pick up your inventory, is there any way that we can have it just kind of go back to where it was when we died? Is that something we can have? Because a lot of people are saying that they're getting spoiled, or they're getting raw meat going into suit slots for food, and then that eats it, and then they get
poisoned.
From that. That's one of the number one things, and then of course just. And I understand like why you wouldn't want oxide and whatnot to go into your oxygen, because you use oxide for other things as well. But maybe like canteens and whatnot.
It is something we looked into a while ago, especially around launch, and we did have some issues with it because we can probably do a bit more on it now. It's just we were very restricted with the save size of objects, and we needed to store a bit more information on the player corpses to be able to, fully return the items now. So it's something we could look into again. I know it was a little difficult at the time because of the overflow bag corpse situation. But yeah, it might be a bit easier now.
Which I haven't lost a set of gear in a long time to that. So it's and I do a lot of sketchy stuff. So.
Yeah, we've had one of the developers has been putting in quite a bit of effort trying to make sure that, if you die in any situation, that you can at least either interact with the corpse or the overflow bag, just to make sure that, people don't lose stuff. Because, you bring workshop stuff down, and, if you die at the bottom of a lake, you don't want it clipping through and losing your stuff.
Any more veggies planned? I'm sure, right?
Yeah, we've got some, but they're not going to come out for a while. We're quite flooded with food in general at the moment, like fruit and veg.
Yes, there's a lot of options in food. I've always said that if you starve at Icarus, it's your fault.
Some we've got plans for like an upgraded drying rack and smokers and stuff like that, and they're ready to go, but I just don't think it's the right time just yet to be pushing that stuff out.
Oh, the last thing that we'll mention as far as suggestions go, reticules. Being able to change the color of your reticules and all that jazz. Any plans for that in the future?
Yeah, somebody actually brought that up last week. It is something we definitely want to do because, especially if you're using like the bow in the Arctic, it's almost impossible to see. Yeah,
it seems quite well in the forest. It does work. I mean, it works quite well in the forest, and then I have no problem in the desert. To be honest with you,
okay.
It really is honestly, like you say, just in the Arctic mostly.
We were thinking about like providing people with settings so you can change the color to whatever you want, and maybe even providing a couple of different types of targeting reticules. You can fully customize it.
Oh, so you can customize it and maybe do a different type of reticule.
Yeah.
Nice.
But a few people are looking into that at the moment. Hopefully we'll have something out in the next couple of weeks. It's relatively easy at this stage.
So as far as that goes, I think that is all the questions and suggestions that we had on the list there.
Awesome.
Hey, I really appreciate you for sure taking all of our questions and answering every one of them. Because I've enjoyed it. I've quite enjoyed it. And I appreciate you coming out and playing the game with us as well.
Oh, thank you for having me. Like, I've really enjoyed having a chat and just playing the game.
Jake, everyone, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
And guys, that's it for this video. Don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to the channel will get you Icarus content videos just like this one. We want to thank Jake Dodunski for joining us and answering all of your questions and ours as well. Thank you for submitting those. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. Peace.